This is LiR Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel. Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of the panel on LiR Media and our usual email info@lirmedia.tv and for all your comments, and thanks to all the views. We have a good man, a good person working on our social media platform, which has increased the viewership already, and our subscribers as well, increased by over 42 or something in the last week, which thank you, Dave, for that. He knows who he is. We won't mention his surname, I'd be looking for more money, but for this program, you can press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel anytime. It's free of charge. Good evening, Alison O'Reilly.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening, Laura Witherow, and welcome.
Hi.
Good evening, John, down there in the Republic of Cork.
Good evening, guys.
Good news tonight so far, John. I saw the first half there beating Galway so far in the hurling, so we'll be fine. Good evening, Mary Honan.
I'm always left to last. Mary last. Hello, everyone.
You put away the bottle of gin you had there in your hand. Is that gone away?
It's the Benical.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said gin. Anyway, I suppose the first topic that we're considering tonight is lateness. I heard a discussion there a couple of weeks back on one silly show on it. I suppose some people might think that's a silly thing, but it has implications, obviously, if you're going for an interview for a job. That's deadly serious. But lateness, there are some people, John, isn't there? Some people in the world, no matter what time you want them to start, they won't start anyway.
Oh, John.
You know, Laura, now listen. If the certain person that's talking sent the correct email, people might be on time.
Exactly, John.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Exactly.
But John,
would you believe this? He was sending all the information to my son for weeks.
Oh,
and
Pat.
I'd have to keep getting on to him and say, you send it to the wrong person. Then Mary would have to get on and send me the correct one. And
Mary always has to bail him out.
About 5 times I've had to hand in my email address.
5 times?
Yeah, because they're both John Lonergan, but one.
That's half the number of times his son has won the All-Ireland or the World Dancing Championship.
Exactly.
10 times.
And the thing about it is, the thing about it is, he was never late, because if he was, he wouldn't be allowed to dance.
Well, there you go now, right?
There you are. You see.
of course, Alison, in your job, you have deadlines. You know, that'll be different. That's a discipline in itself. So really, that would be a help, would it?
No, I'm always late. Yeah. My stories have to be in, say, for radio, where the adrenaline is pumping. You're in the car, your virtual Burley, which is the system that you have to get it in. If it crashes, you have to email it in. But the adrenaline and the high in radio news is actually just about getting it in, but you must get it in for the bulletin. But of course, Alison, last minute Mary for everything. So I start putting my package together about 20 to the hour, and I know that whoever's sitting in the newsroom waiting for my package is going, where is she? And anything can go wrong, and loads of things will go wrong. But yeah, I never learn my lesson. I work 3 minutes from my job. I'm always late. I'm always late. And I find it that I don't come from a family who was always late, although my mother would say my father's always late. My mom's really punctual. But I find that when you do get there early, so I've been trying to manage my time lately with the football and all that, because it stresses my son out. So I'm trying to do better. And I got there for 9:30 this morning for the football. And I said, they're all well into their training there, their warm up. And then I said, you're meant to be here at 9:15. And I mean, I don't... it's terrible. In my head, I think it's 9:30. And the obvious thing is to check. I never check. And then I check when I'm there and it's too late. And I just cannot seem to manage time properly. I really can't. I'll do 150 things in a day, but I'll always be a little bit late for everything. So I can juggle loads, but my timing wouldn't be great. And the other thing is, when I do get there early, I feel like I'm out on a limb. They're going, I could have stopped and got that coffee. I could have swept the floor before I left. It's all this. I'm all kind of out of sorts if I'm too early. So it's a thing.
Yeah, and Mary, what about you? I know you're early on.
You actually come to me before I'm always last to be called for everything. I'm nearly fallen asleep. No, I'm never late.
Oh,
I'm
God.
always on time for everything. The problem is I'm always, if someone says 8 o'clock we'll meet you, I'm there at 15 minutes to 8. And I'm sitting there, and then they arrive at about 1:15 or 1:30, and you're thinking, oh, for
Yeah,
God's
you're talking about Irish dancers now, yeah? Irish dancing teachers.
Yeah, but I mean, I am always on time, and I just always like to be 15 minutes early for the same reason as Alison likes to be late. I don't worry about having not swept the floor. I don't worry
Alison's
about.
dogs are having a go at her for always being late.
Oh no!
Hello, puppy.
They're two bold brats. No,
Look at
stop.
them.
Stop.
And they look like angels.
Sorry to interrupt.
And Laura, of course, the business that you're in, obviously, you work with appointments.
Yeah, and if somebody, like, I'm like Mary, not quite 15 minutes early, but I'm always like 5-10 minutes early. And if somebody is late in my business, obviously, I'm a hairdresser. Like, if you have somebody booked in at 9 o'clock and they arrive at 10 or 15 minutes past 9, your whole day is thrown out of sync, because you're then trying to fit that person in. You're trying to not lose money. And then your day is like 10-15 minutes behind the whole day. If it happens in the morning, I usually catch up and it's somewhere around lunchtime, but it's at the sacrifice of my lunch break. And if it happens in the afternoon, you're late finishing. And like, I'm lucky like that I don't have to collect my child in the evening, that like my partner's passing where his mum minds her. So he's passing on the way home and he collects her on the way home. But she was in a childminder's, like, and I said, oh, I'll be there at 6 o'clock. And somebody's 10 or 15 minutes late. Well, all of a sudden it's nearly 6:30 by the time I'm getting to her, you know.
Yeah.
But it is.
Alison doesn't care.
No, I'm actually listening to you and I'm thinking I'm all late. And
It
so
doesn't-
if you have any tips on how I can manage my time better, I'm all ears.
No, but you know,
talk it out.
Alison, when I was in the art college, I think that even compounded it more for me, because there was so much emphasis on deadlines, getting things into a kiln had to be finished. Every A, B, C, D had to be finished at a certain time, and if you didn't have it finished by the time the exam came up, there was no grace period, and everything was worked on network on having everything done on time.
Okay.
And I think and you, if it meant having to stay up all night to actually get it finished, I would stay up all night to make sure it was in on time. And I would go in. I've never been late for handing in any project, ever. I'd be disgusted with myself, Alison.
Yeah, and there were people who I could never understand, because where I got the discipline from was when I was in the army, you know, everything was.
Oh, he's a nightmare.
I learned
Absolute
that
nightmare for everything.
when I worked with people in the civil service, there were some people I could never understand how they got anything done. You couldn't see them behind their desk with stuff they didn't need on their desk for a start. And I think some people thrive in chaos. I don't mean, I believe there's such a thing as organized chaos. I know it doesn't make any sense to me, but it does when I was working.
Now that's me, which is strange. I'm very always on time, but I don't mind chaos around me.
Yeah.
I don't chaos.
But Pat will come into the office in the studio, and my medication was beside me in a bag, a white bag, a small white pharmacy bag. It was annoying him. It was beside me on my desk, so he walked over and took the bag with the medication and put it in a drawer.
Well, that's a bit obsessive compulsive.
I have actually come home without and I'm on tablets for cholesterol, and there they are below in the station.
The evidence.
I left them after him. If if he walks into my sitting room and sees a mug on my table, he'll say, "What's that doing there?" And I'll say, "It's a mug on my table in my house."
I'll be only slagging her.
And
Because
he picks up the mug and walks out to the kitchen with it. I can't stand that.
Is so far away from that table. I understand why it's there.
There's sarcasm personified. It's just, and then I get, "Oh, it's the army training."
But it actually is, and I'll actually defend him there because I'm a member of the Reserve Defence Forces, and neat and tidy are key.
Well,
That's the one and only time I'm going to
There's
defend you,
neat
Pat
and
Barry.
there's tidy and there's neurotic.
Forces, excuse me.
even in my own house,
I
I'd
know.
have to have, if I'm cooking in my own house, I know I'm putting myself down. If there's wash up in the kitchen that I'm about to use, I'll have to do all that first and start with a clean kitchen. I'll cook for everybody who wants to eat my food. When it's finished, immediately everything is taken away, washed, clean, and put away. Then I can relax with everybody.
Yeah, you clean as you go, Pat. You are
If I had
me.
to go into the sitting
I
room,
can't even go into my own kitchen if he decides to cook for Martin Lennon and myself in the station. We'll go up to your house and cook because I have everything inside my kitchen. And I'm actually banished from my own kitchen because I mess the kitchen up by my very presence. In my kitchen. And then he walks into my sitting room and asks me why there's a mug still there.
And you still let him in your house, Mary?
With somebody like that, huh? I spent 30 years of my life with a mother that was like that. I don't need to have a colleague like that as well.
But now, Mary, tell us all, is the cooking worth it? Is the food worth it? Is he good
He's a
cook?
very good cook.
Oh,
Very
there you
good.
go.
Oh, that's impressive.
And
Yeah.
he loves cooking.
We're on the way down, Alison, aren't we?
Oh, he's a
Tomorrow,
fabulous
Sunday
cook.
dinner.
We
Yeah.
all let him cook for us. But
I wouldn't leave anybody cook for me. Maybe
and
that's
then
what,
you have the other misfortune of having to watch TG Cahir and GAA Osquelga because he's cooking.
Pat,
And
you
you
can
kind of
move in
feel
with me.
under a compliment to watch it in Irish just because he wants to watch
I
it.
think we'll
Because
take
he's
this on. But
cooking.
John, you're listening to the panel on LiR Media.tv, and that's info@LiRmedia.tv is our email. And thank you. And press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge. Minimum wage. Before we, I'm not even be interested in this. It's not on the claw, but your county fellow man Nora stepped down. Machine Gun Kelly, Alan
Yes.
Machine Kelly, as he was known as. Alan Kelly, shooting from the hip. Nothing else, I don't think. He stepped down as leader of the Labour Party because he said that they had lost confidence in him. Well, we all know there was an almighty row, a 3-day row, which is a long time in that party in Sanctum. And it looks like they're going to appoint the posh lady, the posh person, Ivana Batrick as the leader. Are they going to dig the grave of the Labour Party altogether, do you think?
I think it's going to be the rock they perish on.
Yeah.
As bad as Machine Gun Kelly was, I think this is going to be the rock that they perish on, Pat.
Why, Laura? Why?
She hasn't got that approachability. There's something about her. She gets my back up even listening to her. She hasn't got the personality to be the leader of a party. She hasn't got the ethics or the politics, in my opinion, to be the leader of a party. Like I say, I'm no Alan Kelly fan, let's be clear here.
Yeah.
And if he's watching this, he'll know exactly why. It's personal to a certain degree. And I just feel, as bad as he was, he's a family man. He's openly family orientated. He was a very emotional man in that, speech where he was stepping down the other evening. And she just, for me, she has nothing that makes me look at her and go, okay, let's give her a chance, or okay, let's listen to her. I don't want to listen to her. She doesn't have that approachability, personally, for me.
Did you come across
She's
her?
very popular now in Dublin, I have to say. Very experienced.
And she's not in tip.
Yeah,
Laura,
around a long time.
Laura was just about to take out the violin there and play when you were talking about Alan Kelly.
Oh my God, I wasn't.
I tell you now.
John is a big fan of Alan Kelly.
How anybody could vote for Labour after what Joan Burton, Alan Kelly, Ivana Balichik, whatever her name is, done to the what do they call
The water movement.
No, they took the medical cards from the
They destroyed the Labour Party, John, didn't they?
They totally destroyed it. They swam with Fine Gael.
Yeah.
Instead of sticking to the what they're supposed to be. Labour was supposed to be about the people, about the working
and
man.
if they had stuck to their politics that time, John, I feel like Labour would have had a much better sitting in the last election, and we mightn't have the coalition we currently have.
Yeah,
exactly. But you see, they went for power. They went for the. I mean, you mentioned him crying there the other night. Like, he cried the day he got elected.
yeah.
He did. Yeah.
He screwed up through it the last bloody call or whatever it was. Like, he cried because he knew he was set up for life now.
Yeah.
He had pension because he got the second coming, and
he
that's
won't be
why
worried
they
about
cried.
the price of diesel or the price of oil like the ordinary people is tonight.
He doesn't give a toss. He's going to walk away from with a pension for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And all the crocodile, and he'll walk into some banker's job and he'll be giving speeches about how being a leader of Labour, and they'll be paying for it in the golf clubs and the societies. Nobody should ever vote for Labour for what Joan Burton done and Labour done when they went into coalition with Fine Gael.
Needless to say, Mary, what do you think of the whole thing, the Labour Party? Are they a busted flush, as they say?
I think on the other hand, I can't see the comparison between Alana Bacik and Alan Kelly. I mean, I'm not really impressed with either of them, but I don't understand what the problem was between the members of the party with him, because I don't think that he outwardly did anything that looked out of place with the way they're all acting. And now in politics, he looked strong as a leader of the party. He looked no weaker than any other leader of the party. Joan Burton was shocking and single-handedly, I think, ruined the Labour Party, especially when she accused people of imprisoning her in her car when she was on her phone and laughing. And that, to me, was the end of Joan Burton, really.
Mary, forget. Sorry, Mary, for cutting her. Don't forget, she brought a 16-year-old child to court.
You know, I mean, it just beggars belief. But when I think of Limerick here, we had very strong Labour Party when you had the likes of Jim Kemmy, who was a real Labour man, a real man for the people, for the working class people of Limerick. A socialist he was, more than a Labour man. And then suddenly it all changed. Jan O'Sullivan and now you have, I just think the Labour Party is not going to do anything in the next election.
It's really, in one way, from history and obviously from reporting point of view, it's one of the oldest parties. It is the oldest party in our state, the Labour Party. Obviously, it's nowhere resembles the Labour Party of Larkin and Jim Kimmy and all those people down through the years. Actually, Dick Spring was the most successful ever of the Labour Party.
And I don't think he'd be very impressed with this Labour Party, Pat, do you?
No, he wouldn't. They got 32 seats under Dick Spring, which was a huge achievement. But anyway, today, Ivana Bacik, you must remember, only got elected in a by-election.
Yeah.
And a huge turn-off for the government parties in that by-election. So she may not get elected in what we call a normal general election, because she has failed 3 times, as you know.
Yeah, that's right, 3, yeah.
And so
I just want to remind you that the water charges was the one that broke the back of all of the parties, but especially Labour. And in Cork here, we had a sitting Lord Mayor at the time of the height of the water charges. And we went in and we took over the City Hall and we sat in her seat. We got her out of the seat and we sat down there as a token. And it's down in history as we got the first ever sitting Lord Mayor not to be re-elected to the City Council, because we hounded the Labour Party, especially because they were easy to get at, and the people that were in it Which
Was
one
that, John, was that Maria Desmond?
no, Marie.
Remember her mother and her father were TDs, Marie Desmond.
That's right, yeah. No, this one, I can't think of her name. No. Clancy is her name.
Her mother, Eileen Desmond, was one of the first MEPs in '73, I think, elected as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. But the people should remember that, and that's why the Labour Party lost a lot of seats that time, was because they again, especially that machine gun yoke, coming out and saying, you know, no matter what happens, water chairs are going to come in. Well, you know, they opened their mouths the wrong way, and
They did.
They paid for it.
But Alison, you're knocking around in Dublin, and I know people in Dublin don't believe the rest of the.
You're knocking around.
I was just going to say that.
You're just street
Listen,
corners.
What corners do you walk in?
I'm not saying that
Did we on this last week again?
He has an unhealthy
outside
hanging around.
cow.
Listen, I'm uninsultable. I'm a tabloid journalist.
But
Yeah, true enough.
in the milieu of the politics up there, you said to me that Ivana Bacik is popular.
Very popular.
She's popular with the middle class press. She's
Yeah,
popular.
she is, and she ran away with that election, and she's on the scene a long time. And
Yeah.
now is the time for female leaders. It's all about the female now.
Yeah,
And
but
the
do you
female
think that
leader.
that's good, Alison? Do you
Pardon?
think that it's good? Do you think it's good to start bringing in this type of politics where, oh, sure, you know, we need to pick a woman and we need to pick a certain kind of woman, or a woman from working class area, or a woman from middle class area, or, you know, shouldn't it be the person that you look at in the party and you think this person is a good leader, this person is going to be strong and stand up and be heard?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, you see, like Alan Kelly was all right, you know.
I didn't think he was
like,
bad
and
at
he's
all.
only in the job what, 2 years? So
Yeah.
I mean, what
Just 2
changes was he going to make quickly?
2 years.
You know, ahead of another election, given the hammering they got, and you know, trying to bring the party back, and then, but
Well,
apparently it was, you know, he went and it was one meeting and he was gone. But
Alison, they did get Duncan Smith, he's a very impressive TD in my book. That's my own opinion.
yeah, he is.
And of course, your man held on to a seat again, Jed Nash up there, and was it Loud?
I grew up with Jed Nash, by the way.
Yeah, very.
Before you attack him now, he's actually a friend.
No. I'm just saying that he surprised me in getting back to see it again, you know, after losing it. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's very popular in Drogheda. He is. They like him in Drogheda. But I think, you know, I just think it was very quick. And, you know, I at least 3 times a week, I'm outside the doorstepping. There's a vigil, or there's a rally, or there's a something. And Alan Kelly's always there. And it's visibility and being there. I mean, I know, look, I wouldn't be a politician for no love nor money, but visibility is a huge thing. And one thing I can see, certainly outside the Dáil, is solidarity, people before profit, are starting to be, they're at everything. And they're doing what Sinn Féin would do, at the door, visible, on the grass, you know, on the front line, and always mixing in the community, always being present, always being visible. And they're doing that all the time. And Alan Kelly was showing up in an awful lot. So I would see him very easy to get a quote off him.
I was shocked they showed no confidence in him enough that he was
very quick. It was very quick. However, I'm told there was a few things going on. So we'll see. I might be able to report on it soon.
Did you ever speak with Senator Marie Sherlock, who I think should be the next leader of Labour?
Marie Sherlock is amazing. I'm very impressed with her.
Incredible.
Well, when she was going in as a senator, when she was joining the Seanad, she was pregnant, and she stood out. You know, not very well known, but she stood out to me because she was very heavily pregnant, and I asked her in the RDS about canvassing while pregnant, and she said, well, you know, I actually hid my pregnancy because I didn't want people to go, she's only going to have the baby and she'll be out again, and it'll be this and it'll be that. And I wrote an article about that, and it ended up everywhere. She was on with Ryan Tubridy and everything. I've watched her progress. She's very articulate, very smart, but she's also very connected with people. She listens, she shows compassion. Watch this space with her. Watch this space with her.
Absolutely. I came across her years and years ago through the trade unions, and she just stood out. You know, way a person, no matter what age they are.
Yeah.
You're drawn to them.
And I think the Labour Party would be well versed in considering Marie Sherlock as their leader, because she's young, articulate, not because she's young, but she's relatively young.
But she's likable. She's likable.
But
that's what they need. I don't want to be talking about Labour because I just think they're ducks, right? But that's what's needed. I mean, Alison, you were on about it's time for women, and I agree 100%. Balchek is not the person for me. She doesn't look a leader, doesn't sound like a leader.
But you see, you're right there, John. You're saying that it's about when you speak, people connecting with you.
Yeah.
I don't connect with Ivana Bacik, and she's on the scene since I was in college.
And that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier on. There's no.
Yes, Laura, you're right. She's not. She doesn't have wide appeal. I know she doesn't have wide appeal, like.
But Sherlock, for me, has a lot more of it.
Yeah, I like her. I do like her.
Anyway, we wish them. Sorry, John, for this. We wish them the best of luck.
No. Exclude me from that statement.
I know it.
Johnny, connect up to the pressure monitor there now.
You're listening to the panel here on LiR Media. Tell all your friends about us, and our email is info@lirmedia.tv. Press the red button to subscribe to our station. Anyway, the minimum wage is when I hear the minimum wage is $10.50 an hour. Pensioners are getting about $2.36 an hour. That's an article for you now, Alison. Pensioners are expected to live on $2.36 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, in our state today, and there's no excuses made for it. They think, oh, that's grand. And the cost of living, I don't have to tell you all about the cost of living, the prices of everything. I seem to be putting money every second day into my, I'm on a card thing for my electricity. The minimum wage is $10.50. It is suggested by the powers that be, these so-called experts, that a living wage. Now, I have no idea what a living wage they're talking about. It depends on part of the country you're living on. The living wage rate is suggested we should be all getting €12.90 an hour. We'll say €13 an hour for a living wage. And even that would bring you in at $5.20 for a 40-hour week, less deductions. I have no idea who they're talking about. We have I don't want to malign any part of the industry, but I have to admit the so-called hospitality industry are wringing their hands every second day on RT and on News Talk. They can't get people to work. Well, they're never challenged on the slave wages they pay. They're never challenged in the media about the slave wages they pay. And they make sure that you don't get 40 hours. They make sure you don't get 30 hours. They make sure you just get 19 hours. And we all know the reason why. They don't have to pay out anything like sick pay or anything after that. So we know this is going on for years. You know, really, I don't know, Alison, this whole idea depresses me further.
I think, you know, I suppose you have to look at the cost of living when you're looking at the wages. You know, my son recently, in the last few months, got a job in a bar. And so he went through he worked when no one else would work, and got COVID and the whole lot, and went back to work the whole lot. And this is helping him while he's in college.
Yes.
Very long hours and all that, but he's 20, you know, and he's working and he's able to go to college during the week. But I'm thinking, he's never going to be able to buy a house. How is he ever going to be able to buy a house? And the things that they need, that age group, okay, you think that's a grand bit of money for you. But when you start settling down and you start looking at the cost of living is where it's at, you know, as you mentioned, the elderly there, my parents are my mom gets the carers, but she actually gets half the carers because she lives with my dad. And we talk about, you know, keeping people out of nursing homes and all of that because you're doing this live-in job that you're getting pittance for. And, you know, it's the hospitality sector. They can't get people to do the jobs, but you know, I suppose my son, you know, the tips are absolutely brilliant, he said. He said the tips are great. But again, try and live in Dublin, trying to buy a house, trying to do anything. I feel really sorry in particular for that age group, because they're absolutely hammered. And
yeah, I think they cannot aspire to buy a house. They shouldn't be stressing either. We should go over to a more European model. You know, John, what do you think of this, the cost of living?
Oh, it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. I just don't know how people are going to live from now on. Like, people don't realise what's coming down the line regarding our gas bills and electricity bills next month. In April. Why, again, I keep saying, why are they giving us 200 euros off? We don't know how that's going to be implemented. We don't know how people are going to, how many people are going to get it. So the guy that's earning, even though we have one McGrath here in Cork said he's going to hand it back. Who's going to prove that? All these politicians, all these people who can well afford to pay for their electricity and gas are going to get to 200 euros a month.
But you see, John, that's really gets me when they say we're going to hand it back or we're going to give it to a charity. Giving it to a charity, with all due respects, is not what the money was set out for. If they actually gave it to the right people, they could have given a bigger amount to less people than giving it to the likes of, say, Alan Kelly and Leo Varadkar and Micheál Martin and Ivana Bacik, and everybody is entitled to it, even people who are on extortionate wages. And what they do with it is their own business. But at the end of the day, if they hadn't given it to them, if they had means tested it and given it to people who were either on a social welfare, disability, old age pension, carers, people like that who really needed it, then they would be able to give more than that. Now, they haven't specified how they're going to actually give the money. I mean, for people like, just if Pat mentioned there that he's paying an electricity, he's paying it in the machine, you know, pay as you go electricity. How is he going to be? But my huge problem is, you know, you talk about, what is it, 11 something, 13 something, is it, Pat? They're trying to make the living wage.
12.90.
12.90. There's people living on disability, social welfare and carers allowance who are only on half that. And they're not even at the minimum wage. They're being expected to survive on below the poverty line, with 250 euros a week. And yet, if somebody puts their mother into a nursing home, they'll pay on average, what is it, 1,000 euros a week?
I think the current average is 1,120 a week.
1,120 a week. But yet, if you're going to keep your mother out of a nursing home and take that weight off the state looking after your mother, you'll get 200 and something euros a week to look after your mother. The parity, there's no parity there. No. And you know, I don't think there should be a single person in this country, not one single person, who should be below the minimum wage or a living wage.
But Laura, in your business, all businesses are the same. We know ourselves where we are here. It's, you have the bills come in and they have to be paid. There's no, whether you have money or not. I know it's a stupid thing to say. They have to be paid. You know, big borrower seal. So I mean, is it as bad? I think it's worse than what the media recognizes in general. It is a lot worse.
Yeah, now, like, I have staff, Pat, and believe me, they get more than the living wage off me, because I'm, like, realistically speaking, if you get good staff, you want to hold on to them.
Yeah.
And it's like a knock-on effect. If you've good staff, you gain more clients, you retain more clients, and ultimately, it's the bigger picture is treat your staff right, treat them well, you'll hold on to them, and ultimately, in the long run, you have a better business for it. And I think that's where the hospitality industry is failing, in terms of they're paying their staff minimum wage or whatever, you know, some might be slightly above, and some are trying to get away with like €9 cash here or there, wherever. And I've heard stories myself. And their turnover of staff is really high. And like, look, I'm living in County Tip, like, and we have small little businesses and little restaurants dotted around everywhere. And the ones that don't survive, 9 times out of 10, I've heard, oh, they had an awful high turnover of staff and they couldn't keep staff. And no, people don't like that, you know. People like to go in and see the same faces and they get to know people. And like the girl that works for me, she's a fantastic hairdresser. And everybody's coming in now going, they're no longer going, oh, Laura, I need you to do my hair. They're going, oh, I don't mind, would she do it for me? Because I've gotten to know her. They like her, you know, and she's happy in her role because she feels she's getting rewarded adequately financially for her role. And ultimately, I have a better business because of it.
But, you know, Laura, you know, going back to the hospitality, you know, I mean, okay, the American way of doing it is is tipping and everything like that. And that's all well and good. But I think when you have an industry that relies solely on tipping, like hotels and things like that, and the management or the company itself isn't paying their staff, or is paying their staff pittance, and the staff have to rely on people who are already going in by ordering a meal, maybe ordering a meal for 4 or 6 people or whatever, and on top of that, then they're giving a tip to somebody. When in order for that person, well, one, you're paying them because you appreciate what they've done, but when you're paying them to compensate for the lack of payment from their own bosses,
what does that say?
There's something wrong there, you know.
And then also they don't always get their tips, Mary.
No.
I know businesses where the owners are like, oh, all tips go into a jar and it gets distributed like at the end of the month. That is atrocious because like I have, like, you know, say my staff, and we keep our own tips. Like if somebody leaves us a £5 and I've done the colour and say the girl that works for me has done the blow dry, we split it. Yeah. We do a 50-50 split because, hey, look, I work hard in my job as well. Like, you know, if someone wants to give me a tip, I'm not going to look to gift horse them out. Thanks very much. No, Pat, look, there's only so much I can do, you know, I'm not a magician. A few pink highlights there or something, you'll be grand.
Oh, no,
right. For the tip county. But yeah, no, I mean, I worked in hospitality while I was putting myself through hairdressing college, and one particular hotel in Tipperary, and you can take your educated guesses as to where it was. The owner used to take all of our tips and put them into his own office, and we never knew how much was gone in tips or whatever else. And at the end of the month, he'd be handing us like 20 or 25 euros for the whole month. Oh, and I was working really five evenings a week and that's probably all weekends as well. And I used to be thinking, well, hold on a minute, that one American table alone left me 50 quid. Like, oh, this couldn't be right.
Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah. And that happens in a lot more places than you realise.
Well, we all know.
But I mean, as well as that, when it's put into a jar, you have people being awarded for doing nothing.
Yeah.
While other people are working really, really hard.
Well, if you have people who work 5 days, people who work 2 days, there's no balance to that. Like,
at the end of the day, no person should be reliant on tips when they're being employed by a hotel or a restaurant. The restaurant should be paying them a proper wage.
Yeah.
And the tip should be just a bonus. And the tip should be for the person who has got it, not into a jar for. Now, I understand that there are some people shy, and they're not the type of people that are front, but they're the type of people who'll be working in the back, cooking and that. But at the end of the day, it's the person who they meet at the table and who's nice to them that they give the tip to.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the whole point. They gave it to you,
not the person who's cooked your meal. Because sometimes the meal mightn't be that great, but the staff, the waitress or the waiter might be really nice and have got you through the horrible meal.
I'm thinking of that Faulty Towers Hotel. I couldn't help it.
Oh my God.
Who would you give the tip to there? Manuel? The panel is the program on TV. We're going to move along, lads. There's been a huge outpouring of giving of time, money, energy, and goods as well to the Ukraine appeal that was made. Now, obviously, I don't know. We're not getting, let's say, a lot of information from Ukraine, and that's understandable because of the blackout and the cyber attacks and all of that that's going on. So, and an awful lot of television stations I noticed myself online are being taken down, which is a pity. It shouldn't happen, but they're taking them down because we have to see all sides to make up our own minds on these things. And it's shocking that some journalists with credibility, a lot of credibility, who may be working for RT, Russia Today, I'm thinking of, they're a state-run TV company, but you must remember that the BBC is state-run, RTE is state-run, and so you have to make up your own mind when you're looking at these organisations. And I don't know myself, but anyway, Laura, I've seen the postings on social media about you have some stuff gone out there or about to go out there.
So we spent the majority of last week trying to do some sort of collection of goods specifically for the Ukraine appeal. Our stuff is actually going directly into the Ukraine, into like the war zones, like people who are living in subways and things like that. You know, there's people living down there, and we have information coming back from us from direct people that are in there helping, like that people are running out of nappies, of sanitary products, of, you know, baby food, those sort of essential items. Yes. So we had a massive shipment go yesterday at 3 o'clock, and I've been so overwhelmed by the generosity of people. It feels like a community has been brought together by something that's not even happening to us. And over the last 2 days, since 3 o'clock yesterday when that one went, all day yesterday and all day today, there have been people coming to my door, dropping bags and bags of baby supplies, medical equipment, bandages, burn creams, food, clothes, you name it. And I don't even have room in my house anymore. I'm going to have to do a load sooner rather than later. But yeah, there's a Polish guy living in Thurles, and he's orchestrated the whole thing with the assistance of myself and a local councillor, Jim Ryan, who is absolutely fantastic in our town. I would love if the man ran for TD. He would be amazing. And that's what we've been doing for the last week and a bit.
Jim Ryan independent? Is he an independent?
Pardon?
Jim Ryan, is he independent?
Yeah, he's an independent councillor for Thurles Town Council.
I know who he is. Sorry, I'm just trying to place him.
John, yeah, Pat is just checking to see who he'll be up against, or
when he runs,
be an independent when he goes.
I'm going to get her up a truck for the citizens of Moscow. I'm only joking. I shouldn't be even joking. When you saw these appeals, I think the late show last night raised something like 2 million for the Red Cross.
Yeah, which is amazing.
So many money that's going. I just hope that it's spent in the right place, as the man said, but we don't ever see receipts, but it's a war zone, so we forgive that. But John, what do you think of this whole situation?
I'm going to be very controversial. I'm going to be very controversial here now.
Wouldn't be like you, John.
I'm going to say something right that mightn't go on well, but
God help us.
We were just talking about the cost of living.
Yes.
And people are finding it very hard to pay for the cost of living. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. There is thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of pounds of euros going out to a foreign country and help. And I'm not saying anything about the people shouldn't help. I'm just saying, if I was them other tosspats above in the dial, I'm going, whoa. You have people giving out that they can't live on the minimum wage. You have people giving out that they can't live on what they're getting. And yet we're sending millions of euros worth of stuff out of the country. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. And that is one way of looking at it. And
that's what they are looking at. I'm just desperate against these politicians. I just find it all of this
no,
is...
I think the problem, John, that I see recently was, the only problem I saw was when, and I'd love to take in a family or take in it's one person, because I've turned my second room into a wardrobe because...
Oh my, excuse me.
Well, you see, when when I made my bathroom bigger, made my small room even smaller, and it's not much bigger than a closet now. So it wouldn't fit a bed. So
You use
I
bed
said, look,
already.
you know, I'll just leave the wardrobes in there and walk in and just get your ward. There's no bed or anything in there. There's a chair and the wardrobes wall to wall. But anyhow, the point I'm making is the government has asked people would they take in families, and that's all well and good, and you know, and it's fantastic to take in people, and we'd all love to, and I'd love to. But you're struggling. They're giving us basically handouts for the electricity or and that pittance they're giving. And yet, if you were to take in a family, just say, Laura, you were to take in a family of 4, mother, father, and 2 children, on top of the electricity that would be used, the gas that would be used, the heating that would be used, the washing machines that would be used, all that, and we can't afford to pay the electricity as it is. And you're wondering, are the government, if they want people to take, there's so many questions. What about the people that are living for the last year and a half in hotels, glorified hotels? Do they continue to stay in that glorified hotel, having to leave at 9 in the morning and back in at 9 at night with their child?
Listen, this Mary, sorry, no, I have to come in here. This is what they've always wanted. I made a statement here in Cork 2 years ago at the start of the pandemic. There was planning permission for 2 to 3 hotels granted at the start of the pandemic. Right, the country was shut down. Nobody could come in or out, yet we were granting the building of 2 to 3 hotels. Since 2021, there's another planning permission for 3 more hotels in Cork. So where are the people going to come from? My point here is that we're bringing in 20,000 Ukrainians, supposed to be, right? Where are they going to stay? You just said it yourselves, hotels. So this is why it's all, keep it in the bloody money. I don't know why they're building hotels in Cork. I don't know about Limerick or where the rest of you, but Jesus, Mary and
no, but I'm just thinking of the people that are a year and a half.
I would love to take people in as well, but I'm finding it hard to live on the pension as it is. Now my wife is working, thank God, but I would love to take somebody in.
You feel guilty because you can't take people in, but then the government aren't saying, well, you know, if you take a family of 2 in, mother, father, and 2 children, and you have the room, we'll give you so much towards. But then there's the question. But then there's the question: what about the misfortune that has lost their home because they missed? They were fighting with the banks to try and get a relief.
How many people are evicted?
And they're inside a hotel, as I say, with their misfortunate child or children, and out into the unknown every day, wandering the streets until the children come home from school, and at 9 o'clock. Are they still to stay for another year and a half while somebody walks into the country, God help us, who has gone through a war situation and is put into a family home? Why wasn't all this done for the people who lost their homes and are why weren't people asked, can you take them in, and then put anyone else that comes into the country into hotels or whatever?
What do you think?
It's just like some people are forever.
LiR and Coveney said we can take in up to 20 to 30,000 from Ukraine. You know, what do you think, Alison, of the situation yourself?
I think it's absolutely heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
It's just absolutely terrible, and it's frightening, and it's, you know, terrifying that the whole world can let one man bully you around like that. And, you know, there's war crimes going on, and not enough people standing up to him and giving him, thinking he has the power that he doesn't have. And, you know, the destruction that's happening in Ukraine. There's, you know, even the Russians themselves are battling with going in to invade, because it's a different world now. You know, he's a 19th century dictator. We're not there anymore. And I think his own people are
Yeah, and
are
we
so
have to feel
terrified
sorry
of
for the
young,
Russian people as
well,
well.
soldiers going in there going, what am I doing here? You know, this is awful. And
Poor soldiers going
You
in
only
and
think of his
stepping
armour,
down,
I
they
think,
didn't realise what they were sent in for.
yeah,
It's
it's,
not-
yeah.
They do. They're
But it is it's like the morale is very low. Like, I mean, and they're I feel sorry for them because they're caught, you know, with this dictator. But
Look at the thousands that came on the streets and protested for the first time ever. Look at
Yeah.
the radio station, the crew that stepped down.
I mean, it's embarrassing for him. Like, he's embarrassed, but he doesn't,
he's
he doesn't
isolated.
care. He doesn't care what we think. He
Isolated.
doesn't care.
And I think that once he has Kiev taken, from what I was trying to find out today, all day, I wasn't consumed with all that. He once Kiev is taken by the Russians, and God, I'm not saying they should take it, I'm not agreeing with it or anything, I'm just saying that there'll be negotiations then. Hopefully the fighting, killing, mayhem will stop.
See, I think, Pat, you know, I know, John, I know exactly where you're coming from, John, with your point. You know, my family are in Lismore in New South Wales, and they have lost their home in the last week. There was floods of 14 meters. It just covered their house, destroyed everything. And my cousin rang to say she doesn't even have a pair of shoes. And the Australian government gave them $1,000 and sent 140 million to Ukraine. And I suppose, like, when you look at the balance of that, again, that's them at home. They've lost absolutely everything in their 70s. My cousin Ray is, you know, recovering from cancer. It's a wipeout after working. They worked hard all their life. And you look at that, and I totally get that. But I think with Ukraine, the reason people are responding is because people just don't want war anymore. That's one thing, right? People just don't want that anymore.
You can't keep
But
doing.
what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Because
to the continent, to the continent of Africa, as we've seen, when I was going to national school in 1958 and 59, I was collecting money for the black babies. Now we're still collecting money for the black babies. So when you're doing the same thing and there's no result, there's something else got to give. And the same.
But I think, Pat, with this is
goodwill at Ukraine will not solve the problem. The problem is the countries of Europe will have to don the United Nations uniform, all 22 million army, and go in there.
Yeah, you see, Pat, I think the difference with Ukraine is if he gets through Ukraine, he's not going to stop.
No, he's not.
And like, I mean, look at the prices of oil and everything shooting up. This is the whole world is going to react to one man.
What can happen? What can be done, Alison, realistically? If Ireland has already said that we're a neutral country, which we are supposed to be, but when they leave Ukraine and when they leave Russia, fuel up in this country, or they leave America fuel up in this country to go off to wars. There's nothing neutral about that. If they send money to Ukraine for food, how does anyone know whether the money is being spent for food? Naturally, it could be spent for weapons, and who could blame them? But then Ireland is seen not as a neutral country at all, but as complicit in this. Yeah. And you have Vladimir Putin saying today that if there's a fly zone over, the minute anyone suggests stopping a fly zone over Ukraine, they'll be considered complicit in this war, and that there'll be destruction on Europe and the world.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing.
When you have that threat, my uncle Robert was in a Sellafield nuclear plant for over 30 odd years as an engineer, and he came home every day with a certain amount of radioactivity in his system and shaking for hours until it subside. And that was only minor amounts of radiation from working in the plant all day long. The world doesn't need that. So what can people do when they have somebody that's holding nuclear war over their heads if they actually stop Russian planes from flying over Ukraine?
Laura, just for people who are watching this program, they know Laura's on social media, but from just from your bit where you are now down in Tip there, is it Tuesday or Thursday? You said the
Next Thursday at 4 o'clock is our deadline, because then by 5 p.m. we'll be in our location, which is upstairs in Supermax and Thurles Liberty Square, sorting through everything, getting everything into the right boxes, labelled and ready for shipment again on Friday at 3 o'clock.
What kind of things are you looking for, Laura?
Medical equipment, bandages, burn creams, nappies for babies, formula, sooters, bottles, baby food, you know, that sort of thing.
You don't want any more clothes?
No, clothes-wise, they're
No
fairly
clothes.
okay at the moment.
No.
It's more of the essential items like what I just listed there.
So, well, Laura, well done on that, and well done to all the volunteers over the country, and well done for everybody who put their hand in their pocket. Look, we have our own opinions. The panel is a program on LiRmedia.tv, and tell all your friends about us and press the red button on the right-hand side. Subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge. And now,
Pat, just going back there 1 second regarding the price of fuel and everything going up, right? I cannot understand this because there was a lady come on a radio station the other day here, and she went in to fill up her car, and she was paying $1.70 something per litre. And when she went in, as she went in the door, she paid, and she came back out, and the price had gone up.
Yeah.
Right? Now, somebody tell me, when was the delivery for that done?
Yeah, why was the
Right.
already there existing fuel going up?
The fuel
30%?
is already there, and this is how
we all know why.
this
We
is
all
all
know
this
why.
inflation. If this government really meant and what they want to help people, they scrap their 90% in the litre tax that they're paying, and leave us have petrol at whatever, and leave the petrol stations make the few bob. No, everything has gone up because the government are still taking the majority. Ask any petrol station, any owner,
Well, I can
how
tell
much
you,
how
no.
much are they getting out of each litre? I think just 3 to 5 cents. No, it
Well,
could be more. Could be more.
John, not to be trite about it, I love fruit pastilles, and I know the price of them, and they're gone up 61 cents in my local supermarket.
61 cents.
Be the
I-
Lord.
He
I
sounds
nearly-
like a real geriatric, doesn't he, there with his fruit pastilles?
I
You
get-
know, I like a fruit pastel myself now, Mary. I wouldn't.
I
Nice.
get, I've watched, I'm on medication and I have to get kind of painkillers, over the counter painkillers. And for the last 2 years, I've been watching the prices going up. Even if people want to try it themselves, check the price of Panadol, Salpa Extra.
Yes.
There's Paraleaf made in Clonmel in the pharmaceutical company in Clonmel. And we went out to buy in the chemist today, same Salpa Extra that was on the counter 2 days ago for €7, and it's now $7.30.
Yeah, there's a massive hike on medications. I suffer from migraines, John, and the tablets that I get over the counter just to kind of top up the prescription ones I have gone from $8.95 to $11.20 in the last 12 months.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
but wait,
Wow.
That'll cure
Right.
any headache. That'll cure
It's
any headache.
shocking.
That'll give you a headache.
It's a shocking.
pharmaceuticals are making
shocking
enough money
condition.
as it is. And again, it's about screwing us, and it's about the government taking every cent of tax, everything we buy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
We're on
That's
to
where the relief should come from
this,
for all
sure.
of us.
And we're on to this now to finish tonight. What's the Dallas team again?
Da, 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 da,
Remember what television series
Wasn't J.R. just a brilliant character? Wasn't
He
he?
sure was.
Oh,
I loved Dallas.
Wasn't JR what?
He was just a fantastic character. He was
Oh, he was
bad egg.
but
And-
one that you'd actually love as well. You know, he was
Yes.
like a lovable rogue that you hated.
Oh my God, he was so bad. Him and Sue
This is
Ellen
like-
were
But
just
you
a
gotta
They
brilliant
were just
Murder.
spectacular.
Literally.
Sue Ellen.
But an alcoholic. She was an alcoholic back in the 80s. You know, that just what the woman.
Yeah.
The woman was the alcoholic. She was always
Yeah.
rocked.
And she
But that
was
ran, that's Dallas, and that the original ran from 1978 to 1991. It's huge length of time. Patrick Duffy, of course, the man that never died.
the man that came out of the shower, and it was all
that was a fantastic idea. And look, it stood the test of time. Look at that now, we're still talking about it.
But sure, I mean, when you look at it, who shot JR? I mean, there were T-shirts and everything.
Oh my
before
God,
people
yeah.
even did it.
Yeah.
Who
My
shot
God, I'm
JR?
showing my age. Did I even remember that?
Oh God, my auntie went off to work in Dallas and she sent us a picture of her standing in front of South Fork and we were like, oh my God, she's
You're
so
jealous.
And the little one, Charlene Tilton, is it?
Charlene
a little
Tilton.
tiny one.
Yeah, she was my height. So be
My
careful.
God,
about
she's
calling
a
her
long
the
blonde
tiny
hair.
one.
Mary, are you that small?
Yeah,
She was always trying to make peace, Lucy, wasn't she?
you have
She
no
was
idea. I'm 4'10".
So Laura, if going to yourself now, apart from Dallas, I know you got the tail end of Dallas, I'd say, when you were
Oh, I was med-watched all the reruns.
When
My
you were
grandmother loved
walk.
Dallas.
when you were learning to walk, you got
Oh,
the tail.
listen to her. My grandmother loved Dallas. And we talking.
Oh, Laura.
Laura, shame.
Dallas
And
was brilliant. They were
apart
just
from Dallas,
so glam.
any TV series kept your eye, kept your interest, Laura?
I actually love some of the old comedy shows like Porridge.
careful now,
I
Laura.
loved my favorite is probably Only Fools and Horses. Like
Brilliant.
I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love Only Fools and Horses. Like the best episode ever. The chandeliers and the two boys are there. 1, 2, 3, smash. Like, I still laugh at that every time I watch it. Like,
The yellow paint. I love the yellow paint.
oh my God, the
Oh,
road
it's
trip,
good,
that
though.
was classic.
The
Oh, the
episode, with,
glasses on.
the episode.
But
with
I also have a very soft spot for Little House on the Prairie.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Mine
that
was
was
actually named. My dad named me, and he always called me Half Pint. And my name is Laura. I was named after Laura Ingalls.
Laura Ingalls. Yeah, of course, Little House. And John, what did it for you? What kind of TV series did you like yourself? Yeah, I can't miss that.
We had no other choice. We only had 2 bloody stations.
Yeah.
So it was either one or the other. So it was,
The other.
it was all the same ones, same as yourselves.
Yeah.
Dallas.
And of course,
obviously the Reardons.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the good old Reardons.
Oh yeah. And the famous scene of Benji and the rolling in the hay scene in the hay barn.
Oh, what shock that was. We had to
Oh.
block our eyes and everything that day.
There was a big discussion.
You can't look at that.
The
Well,
media had a big discussion
I
about that.
remember Hawaii 5-0, and I was a child, or even the series Get Smart, and you'd be up in bed, and next you'd hear, and I'd come down, and my mum used to tell everybody that for years about the fact that I hear the music of Get Smart, and because there was no only child, and down I'd come to watch Get Smart. Hadn't a clue what it was, but I knew that the minute Get Smart was over, I would definitely go to bed. But I hear the music of Get Smart. I didn't.
Oh,
even
that was
know
Glen Rowe on a
time.
Sunday night for me.
I don't even remember it.
Glen Rowe,
I
yeah.
don't remember
Yeah.
Get
Never
Smart.
watched Glen Rowe. Never watched it.
Miley and Biddy and Dinny and my God.
The actor who played Dinny.
McLally. Oh no, that was Dinny. That was Miley. Wasn't it?
Lynch, Corkman.
Yeah, Joel.
Yes.
He'd be a cousin to my mum.
Oh, go away.
Well, I have to say he was one of the most.
Joe Lynch, was a good traditional singer and a good tin whistle player.
Oh,
He was a fabulous guest. We had him in Bunratty, and I remember some of the group that was with him started talking, and he told everybody, he said, "I'm leaving now if you don't be quiet. There's people entertaining here." And he paid 100% attention to. I mean, we had Charlie Haughey, who was an exceptional guest as well, to be honest with you. I mean, you talked about him in an interview, Pat, on the book Haughey, about him being charismatic, that you'd know he was there even before you'd see him in a room.
You got great tips, though, Mary.
Well, I never spoke to him, but the man
No
had
tips. He
the
left
man-
loads of money.
the man had utter tips.
Our money. Our money.
He got
yeah,
big
but-
tips.
He had he had utter charisma.
He was a GR type figure in politics, I suppose. You could describe him as a GR type figure in politics. He did a good. He did. He was. He was.
He was our Putin.
Yeah, he was such a capable politician, an intelligent politician, such a politician with ability. And then there was the other side as well, as we know, you know.
Pat, I think you described him beautifully in that interview with the author of when you said, and he even picked you up on it. He said there are some people for whom debt weighs very gently on their shoulders, for whom debt is no effort whatsoever. They take debt with a pinch of salt. Others would just eat away. If I owed money to somebody, it would just kill me. Whereas there are some people for whom debt means nothing. They just get on with life and they think that they'll be dead someday.
Anybody remember MASH?
I wasn't into MASH. I never watched it.
Yeah, 72 to 82. And one of my favorites was the Virginian, John. Do you remember the Virginian?
Oh,
he only died last year.
That's all, yeah.
He was either 99.
What was the name of the horse?
Clipper?
No. I don't know.
I don't know either. I just said I throw it in.
There was a question in the quiz one night in the pub. The Virginian, what was his first name? And loads of people put down because it was the Virginian. James Drury was the actor who played the Virginian. No, I don't know his first name.
His name was Joe D. Joe and D.
Joe
That
D.
was the name of the horse, Joe D.
I'm going to retain that now for all future pub quizzes.
Absolutely. Dr. Google told me.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good at the old general knowledge. I retain.
Anybody remember it's caused consternation at the time because of its time, of its era, was and there was a lot of resistance. And if you read the history, we're not going to repeat it here now. Cagney and Lacey. That was the series.
I loved Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah.
Cagney and Lacey and those hairdos they were an institution.
Yeah.
I loved Cagney and Lacey.
Hairdos, yeah.
Could you recreate them now, Laura?
I used to love her coat she used to wear. What's her name? Sharon Bless.
Yeah.
She always had this, and Tyne Daly, of course, was the wife, the married sidekick, and she made a career in the films.
She was a great actress, Tyne Daly.
Harry films with Clint Eastwood, but Cagney and Lacey, I love. Great piece of music, lads.
But look, I mean, you can't beat, as Laura said, keeping up appearances.
Only fools and horses.
Keeping up appearances, To the Manor Born, and Faulty Towers.
Yeah.
And the good life.
If you watch nothing else in your life, just to watch back-to-back episodes of Manuel saying it's a Siberian hamster. It's my hamster.
It's a rat.
You stupid,
and lads, you can't beat the good old Irish classics, Father Ted, either.
Yeah.
Like, I could sit and watch Father Ted all night.
The one episode from Father Ted I loved was Mrs. Brown when she was saying, she was talking about the housekeeper, the author who came, and she was saying it's feck this and feck that, and you couldn't, and it's wall to wall F's, and she was constantly away. Terrible stuff. And then you should. I can't say it.
You remind me of Only Fools and Horses, that scene. Even though, as you said, we all know what's going to happen in the scene before we put it on, you still laugh out loud, and that's when
you still laugh at them, like 100%.
I thought the best one.
Keep it cool, Trigger. Keep it cool. And he goes to the bar.
That actually was. They weren't filming that scene as him falling through the bar. It accidentally happened during filming.
He came back
that
up
the lid wasn't put back down, and they just went with it and wrote it into the episode because apparently it was the whole place was in stitches.
Trigger made it as well when Trigger was looking for him.
Yeah.
He came up with the glass still with
Trigger with the sweetening brush, the council sweetening brush. Yeah, I've had this brush for 7 years. It's had 7 new handles and 12 new heads.
Are we leaving? Yes, you're cramping my style, Trig.
Yeah.
And Boise, do you remember Boise? I used to love Boise.
Yeah, Boise.
Well,
Boise and his cigars.
And
Oh,
just
brilliant, brilliant.
every character was just written in perfectly well, you know.
Perfect.
That series.
Dave,
I
all
don't
right,
know.
Dave.
One of the most modern ones,
I
the one of the modern ones I loved was that American one.
I don't like American
The man is
comedy at all.
walking, the man is walking in a shoe shop.
Oh yeah. That
Al
was
Bundy. Al
Al
Bundy.
Bundy.
Al Bundy.
Yeah.
He's walking in a shoe
Huh?
shop, remember? And who
Oh.
was the wife again? Beth, is it? Beth?
No.
Something with
Mel.
family,
No.
families.
What's it called? It's
Love
in
and
my-
Marriage.
Love and Marriage.
Love
That's
and
the one.
marriage.
Yeah.
And the youth of the group knew that one now. I just
There you
like
are.
the record.
Peggy was
I
his
can
wife.
hear the theme tune in my head.
He was-
Peggy was his wife.
Love and
I was
marriage.
watching a few episodes of that during the
Like a
week.
horse.
Al Bundy.
Al Bundy was great
Some
at
of the
that.
remarks he made on television.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He wouldn't
I
get
don't-
away with it now.
That won't be repeated at all, I'd say. It will be all dubbed out of it. My God, the remarks he'd make against women.
Yeah.
He was rough now, to be fair.
My
But still,
wildest
hey, we can take it,
drunken-
right?
wildest drunken state back in the 70s, I'd never done
But
it.
his wife was. Do you know what I used to love was the Cosby Show. Loved
Yeah.
the Cosby Show.
Yeah, I love that.
I just loved the Cosby. I loved Bill Cosby as the father. He was just, and everything was just so perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel
You feel so betrayed now, don't
Oh
you?
yeah. I
Haven't loved it so
yeah,
much.
Yeah.
Wasn't he exonerated in court there not so long ago?
No.
No.
But you're never exonerated, you know.
Not
the
exonerated.
mud
There was a
stick,
few of the
he-
cases thrown out.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's right. Yeah.
That's what I mean. There were a few of the cases thrown. But I'm not excusing what he did. It was shocking. But to see a man of, was he 84 or 5? Is that what he is?
He's blind.
Yeah, more or less. He's
Just
legally.
so sad to see somebody that you put up as a hero.
Oh, I
Yeah.
loved him.
Loved
And he
that.
was hilarious.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
and it was all clean.
Yeah, and it was all
Yeah.
like the best dad in the world. When
World.
He
He
was on
looked
the
like
Cosby Show.
yeah.
Look
he
at the
just
man,
love
look
him.
at the man as well, don't you?
And you know do you know that the series with what's his name? It was the rap was with
The
us.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Thanks, Laura.
I'm
Brilliant.
on fire.
You're
Stephen.
on fire tonight.
You want the
of
rap?
Bel-Air.
I couldn't watch that. The same as I couldn't watch Friends. I had to saw a
Oh,
terrible.
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and what's his name dancing to it.
Carlton.
Not unusual to be loved by anyone. Do.
Releasing a Christmas single.
Well,
Yeah.
Fabulous.
he reminded me that black actor of
Will
Yeah.
Smith.
the maitre d' in that when he was dancing, the maitre d' who was in the Pretty Woman in the hotel looking after Vivian. Do you remember that actor?
Oh yeah, that was Alejandro, Victor Alejandro.
He was-
My God. And she said I was on fire.
He was Hector Alejandro. He was the maitre d'
Yeah.
of the hotel, but he was also in he was in several films. He was fabulous
Yeah,
actor.
yeah.
Great
But
actor.
yeah,
Presence on the screen, yeah. He was
yeah.
a
I
glance.
love-
Vivian, no, I wouldn't go out in that. You know, I wouldn't go shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, Pretty
He
Woman.
knows her name and all by. He's definitely watched Pretty Woman a few times, Pat.
Pat has watched Pretty Woman a
I'll
few
tell you, I
times.
had no choice a number of times. I had no choice. I was imprisoned in a house to look at it, yeah.
Me, shocking.
I thought the film was good. I always loved Richard Gere anyway. I'd watch him in an ad anyway, Richard Gere himself.
I love that film that he was in. Do you know the one with the dog where he passed away and the dog waited for him at the train station every day?
That's a true
And
story.
the statue was there now
That's a
of the
true
dog at
story.
the train
It's
station.
It's in Japan.
Yeah,
Japan, the dog waited for I think it was 15 years.
15 years.
And every day he went and he sat there and they fed the dog, all the people around.
Yeah.
But he sat and waited and waited and waited and waited.
And there's a statue erected there now and the dog's on it.
Statue.
The
My
loyalty.
God.
Yeah, it was
It's
it
very sad.
Yeah.
Don't watch it, Alison. You're a doggy person like me.
No, I won't. I won't. No.
Not about
Yeah.
your
The,
Well,
the movie was Hashiko,
Hashiko, that's it.
and but it was a true story. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
And
just
Richard Gere was the star of it.
yeah,
I'm not watching
no,
it. No.
lovable
Don't.
dog. Do you know?
Anyway,
you know.
John, Cork won the hurling anyway, on that positive note.
What was the final score, Pat?
They won by 6 points. I forget the final score. They won by 6 or 7 points anyway. As the man said, they wouldn't pulling up. I'm only joking.
They beat Limerick, I think, last week as well, lads, did they?
Huh?
Did they beat Limerick last week as well, yeah?
Enough said now, Laura.
Okay, okay, lads. I'll bring the spoon for stirring next week.
No, Laura, if they were playing outside my front door, I would match them, so you're glad. Flag all you want.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Now, anyway, from this edition, lads, it was great having you again on this start of the night. From Mary Honan, Laura, Witherow, John, Lonergan, and Alison O'Reilly, and myself, Pat. So we meet again, lads. It's been a blast. Thanks very much. And the best of luck, Laura, with that truck load of
Thanks
stuff.
very much. Yeah, thanks a million.
Let us know next week how you got on anyway.
We
Hopefully.
absolutely will, yeah.
Hopefully
I'm
by
proud
next
of
week.
you.
Thank you
Hopefully
so
Good
much.
woman. Good woman.
Good
There'll
woman.
be a ceasefire call, for God's sake. Then his sanity will prevail again.
Please
Anyway,
God. Yeah. Please God.
Yeah.
thank you, lads, and good luck. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.
This is LiR Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.